I am your host and commentator for today's event. I'm extremely excited to be here in Fort Myers, Florida, just 2 hours west of where I currently live in Pompano Beach, Florida. I used to live on this coast, and it's home sweet home for a lot of the pros. Simone Jardim, a lot of the big names like Parenteau lives here as well. Deckel Bar visits often. Rob Nunnery is now in the area. We've got a lot of the big names that have infiltrated this part of the world. And this environment right here is going to be special today, guys. We are at the Margaritaville Underground Invitational, and it's presented by Duper. If you're wondering what is Duper, well, I'll take a quick second and try to fill everybody in on some of these details. First of all, let's talk about what the acronym Duper stands for. It's Dreamland Universal Player Ratings. So Duper is a new rating system that we have out there, and we've got their sponsor sponsoring this event today. And like everyone else, I think the sport is growing, and people are excited about seeing the growth of this sport happen. And as the growth happens, we often see new things come on the scene. And Duper is one of those things that I'm excited about explaining to you guys. And basically, there's a lot to it, but one of the main things that I want to convey to you guys about what Duper does is it's going to allow the amateur players to have ratings based on not only tournament results, but also their rec game results. So one step further with that is that right now a lot of the ratings are based on just a win or a loss, and Duper is going to take it a little bit more in depth. They're going to record the scores, and those scores are going to reflect in a player's rating. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, currently, if you beat a team, let's say Jessie Irvin beats, her and her partner beat a team 11-0, 11-0. Okay? That's going to count currently as just a win in their column. But let's say I play a 3-game match and I lose the first game 11-0. Then I win 12-10, 12-10. Well, that needs to be reflected in a player's rating because that's a very different thing. And I just think that as the sport progresses, that's what we have to progress with the sport, and that's exactly what Duper is doing. Duper is trying to get their in-depth system out there, and it starts today at the Margaritaville Underground Invitational. I've got a special guest in the booth. Guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am to have this pro player sitting next to me right now. Everybody knows this name, Jessie Irvin. Jessie, what is up?
Hey, guys. I'm so glad to be here. This is great.
So you flew in when, Jessie?
Yesterday morning. I arrived around 10:30 in the morning.
Very cool.
Red eye, so no sleep yesterday. I got some sleep last night, so I feel good.
Do you find that you catch up easily like that?
Yes.
Very good, because you have to be able to do that.
Yeah, as long as I don't take a nap during the day.
Oh, so you can't be taking the nap.
Right, because then I won't sleep at night, and then I'll
You'll be up.
tired. Yes.
So it's a cycle.
Yes.
So you flew in. We did a Pro-Am event yesterday where people basically were a part of playing with the pros.
Right.
There was 8 of us.
Yes.
I was involved in it. We rotated and those players stayed there. That was fun. Now we're here today.
Yes.
And you're going to be playing in this event, but I asked you to do this first one. So let's talk about this matchup real quick.
Okay.
You've got Jardim and Kovalova.
They're on my team.
Which is team
I don't know if we're team A or team
I think you're team A.
Team A, okay.
Oh, wait. Yeah, you are team A.
Team A, good, perfect.
And they're going to be squaring off against the other team, Team B,
Catherine
Parenteau.
and Leigh.
Yep.
Yes.
So let's talk about this matchup. This is a matchup. Obviously, Jardim and Kovalova play a lot together. Parenteau and A.Waters, I don't know that they've ever played together. I don't think they have.
I don't know if they have. I feel like this is probably their first time. I know Catherine has played with her mom, Leigh, because we played against them in my first U.S. Open, Lindsay and I. So I know they've played together. So I think this might be the first pairing for the two of them. But this is going to be a fun match.
Yes.
I really look forward to watching this match.
Me too. And we have sold out the seats, so everybody here is excited about seeing these matchups. Also, it's going to be best 2 out of 3. That's what I'm understanding. So then to explain to everybody, if there's a 3-way tie, so let's say Team A wins 3, Team B wins 3, there's going to be some kind of special mystery playoff that nobody knows about except for Connor Pardo. So it won't be revealed unless there's a three-way tie.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're about to kick off. So what we'll do is we'll try to be quiet during the points because this is a very intimate setting.
Yes,
so you and I will try to give some insight. We may end up having to stand up so we can see this well, but I want you to give people the insight as to what's going on as this game develops, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Got a quick side out there. And Leigh left that up just a little bit, didn't she?
Well, when I was warming up also, visually, it's a little tricky because we're not used to playing indoors. So it's a different lighting.
Different lighting,
so
different setup.
Yes, I think like speed ups will work quite a bit in this kind of lighting.
I like it. Oh, boy, what a nice point there.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying because even me visually watching it, the ball is a little harder to pick up inside.
Yes. It's different lighting compared to outdoors.
Simone trying to let Kovalova know real quick there that it's going out, but that ball's on you so fast, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a good spot also because it's, that right shoulder. It's hard to get out of the way. Yeah.
Kovalova looking for that early attack. So far, the advantage to Kovalova and Jardim. They got a little lead.
Well, the other thing, too, is they've played together. So they already have kind of an understanding of who takes what, who's more comfortable with what ball. And, for Annalie and Catherine, it's their first time, essentially. So they're kind of playing more on just their skill of the knowledge of pickleball instead of, the actual partnership.
That makes perfect sense.
And they're great players, and, we all can do it, but I imagine Simone and Lucy are
more comfortable.
More comfortable, have a slight advantage just because they have that understanding of each other as a partner.
Absolutely. Let's see if they can get on the board here. They've had a couple opportunities. That's a great shot right there. She went out wide, and I thought she was going to go around the post, but there's not a ton of space. She ended up taking that through the middle.
Yeah.
Great execution there from A.Waters. I believe that ball clipped the net and went out wide.
Yes, it did.
That's a great shot. So talk about that below the net. She's taking that ball and attacking from below that net, isn't she?
Yes. Well, and the other thing is she did a good job of keeping it low. So even at that point, even if you read it, you can't actually attack it because it isn't high enough to hit down on the ball.
That makes sense.
It was, and she had a lot of control on it, so it was very well executed.
Got a firefight.
Yeah.
Parenteau getting the upper hand on that firefight there, but they will do that several times, even in this first game.
Yes.
I think one of the cool things about being inside is that the weather conditions aren't going to be a factor. So you're going to see more speed ups, more attacks, and third shot drives, I would imagine.
Right. That would be kind of the partnership.
That's what you were speaking about.
Yes, not kind of comfortable with who should, especially middle balls. That's the biggest one. It's, you know, when you play with someone enough, you kind of have an understanding. You kind of talk about it. Who should take that middle ball?
For sure.
Yeah.
So again, there's that firefight exchange. We're going to see a bunch of that.
Yes.
What's the key to winning those? Is it the early advantage, or hitting down? What's the key?
I think power necessarily isn't as much of an advantage as if you can get the ball down, because essentially an offensive shot is forcing your opponent to hit up on the ball. So if you can get down, you're at a more of an advantage.
Gaining the advantage.
Yes. Now, it's hard to do that when the ball is going back and forth, but
like that, for example, they're hitting down now.
So I think in that point, you saw Catherine get down first, and Simone's an amazing player, so she still got out of it, but she kept hitting down, and ultimately, that will always have slight more advantage in those kind of points.
That's a great shot there from Jardim. Missed that one, but it was close. That thing almost landed. That's too good right there.
Yeah.
Again, she was blocking, but she was actually getting that ball down.
Yes. And a lot of that is where you make contact with the ball. You know, the more you can make contact out in front, the easier it is to get the ball down. The later you make contact, at that point, it's hard to actually get the ball down. Yes,
makes
of the
sense.
Angle of the paddle. Good shot.
So good right there. Look at the defense.
Good point.
Ultimately, though, if you can't get that ball reset back into the kitchen, that's a tough point to win.
It is hard. Yeah, at that point, your options are trying to block and reset it to neutralize the point, or the hands battle and just
try to fight through it.
Right. Annalie did a good job of reaching out for that one before it dropped. Ooh.
That was a great,
point.
Yeah, that was a great reset by Simone, and then the attack from Kovalova just didn't work out, but very nicely done by both sides.
Yes, what I noticed in that point is that both sides were trying to keep the person on the left out of the middle. So both sides tried to dink to Simone's backhand, and both sides tried to dink to Annalie's backhand as well, because they are very aggressive in the middle.
Makes sense.
So they were trying to find that opening. That's a good dink.
It had a lot of depth to it. She had to slide back to get that thing.
Yeah. So it looks like Annalie is adding a little bit of a spin to her toss. She's rolling it off her fingers, which, again, this court, the indoor court, doesn't have a lot of backing either at the baseline.
I was going to ask you in a minute, how much of a factor is the crowd, the walls, it going to play a role in missed returns, aggressive serves? Is that something that's on your mind?
Yes, absolutely.
Will you ramp up, like you personally ramp up your serve a little bit?
I think so. I think also. Oh well, that's another thing. The overheads, the lobs.
The lobs.
Because again, we're so used to, we look up and we see a sky.
Yes.
And it's just a different visual that we're not used to.
Totally different view.
Yes.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes. So all of these things factor in because it's a new environment, and all of us are competitors, and we're all trying to find ways to use that to our advantage.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Look at the firefights.
Yeah.
I love Simone Jardim's ability to just attack a ball on short distance.
Yes.
She keeps everything very compact.
Yes, she keeps her elbows in. And because she keeps her elbows in and because they're not far away from her body, it allows her to have more control, more balance, and then it's a short swing. So she's able to be ready for the next one.
Unbelievable.
As soon as you take that big windup, you're slightly late for the next one if it comes back.
And she's already bringing it back to you.
Yes. Like that paddle rarely goes past her shoulder when she turns. It stays right in front.
Nice dig there. See, I just think that you naturally want to be more aggressive inside because of the non-weather factors.
I think that's why we're not seeing that many dink rallies, is because I think everybody realizes it's
a fast game in here. No, I agree completely. Even the dinks look very aggressive.
They do, yeah. Good pickup.
Which, from a visual standpoint, the crowd loves the fast pace, the firefights, the aggressive style.
Yes.
It's visually appealing.
Yes. And it's also very impressive when they continuously can get the ball back. That was a good dink.
She's got a very, her dinks are a lot of depth and pace with them, A.Waters.
Yes. And she has a very heavy roll. So the ball really bites when it bounces, and it's such a good roll that you really have to adjust your feet in order to hit it cleanly and return it.
Absolutely.
I'm always having to be light on my feet when I play against her because she, on both sides,
she can roll.
She rolls it really heavy, and if you don't take it out of the air, you really have to adjust your feet to get the dink back.
That's another unforced error there off the top of the net cord. The net might be slightly new. It might be a little tighter right now. We'll see how that plays a role here.
That was a good ball from Annalie.
She was ready for that one.
Yes.
When it came, she was teeing off on it.
So both teams right now are stacking with Catherine and Lucy on the right side and Simone and Annalie on the left side. And I think that's kind of everybody's preferred side overall. Good shot.
Now, that seemed like it kind of mishit a little bit.
It was a mishit, yes.
Those are somewhat lucky if they stay in. I mean, obviously it's skill too, but
Yes, there was a smile from Lucy there. But as I always say, when it comes to those kind of shots, like the lucky shots, if you do all the right things and you're in the right spot,
you deserve that luck.
You can have a lot of luck on your side because essentially you're doing all the right things. She just needed to open her paddle on that last one. It was a little closed. If she had just opened it a little bit more, she would have had more arc to clear the net.
Absolutely.
Oh, good timeout.
All right, we've got a score of 10-7-2. A.Waters and Catherine Parenteau calling a 60-second timeout. We're going to take a quick hydration break brought to you by Jigsaw Health. And Jesse Irvin and Scott Golden will be back to the action in a minute. All right, Scott Golden joined in the booth by Jesse Irvin. Jesse, as we watch this last section of the first game, how important is the unforced errors going to make a difference here at the end?
I think that's always important. I feel like at this level that it is all about which team makes the least amount of errors. So that's the first game.
So that was more like a forced error, though, I feel like. But, well, the ball got lifted a little.
Interesting. I've had this conversation with quite a few people. I think the first person that actually brought it to my attention was Simone Gonzalez, and I was commentating with her at the Vegas Open, and we were talking about forced and unforced errors. And I don't think people realize at this level, most errors that these pros are forced errors. There's rarely an unforced error. So when you see someone miss a dink in the net, you don't understand how much spin or action or placement. There's so much going on.
Especially on video, people often don't see the type of shot that's being hit.
There's so much going on that I feel like at this high level, most errors are forced, either by placement, by spin, by just presence. Like, for instance, people when they go for Ernie's and then that next person misses the ball, that's not an unforced error.
It's not technically.
It was forced because you got into their head and now they have to hit a different shot.
That makes sense to me.
So I feel like it's hard. It's not
as black and white and clear cut as you would think.
Right.
All right, so here we go with game 2. It looks like Kovalova, Jardim are going to be kicking off, and they won the first one 11-7.
That was a nice drop.
Yeah, that drop really stayed low. For anybody wondering, they're using the DuraFast 40.
Good return by Leigh there.
How important is the return in this type of environment?
The depth, very important. And I feel in general, a deep return is far more important than necessarily a hard return.
Look at this firefight. I love it.
Oh, that was a good setup by Leigh. She got what she wanted.
Yeah, now that would be considered an unforced error, correct? Because she dumped that one, right?
I still feel like it's tricky to call those. I mean, yes, you could call that. That would be
because she should have, in her mind, she should have hit that ball over.
I would say if it's high above the net and you're at the kitchen, unforced.
That's an unforced.
That's a no-no.
Yeah. where you say it gets a little trickier is on the dinks when there's some spin, there's some movement,
or
stuff like that.
Or
yes.
If you're not at the kitchen.
That could be considered a tricky situation.
Right. Oh, that's a deep serve.
We're going to see that a lot, especially I feel like like Dekel Bar's been really cranking up his serve lately.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting to watch that. So there, Kovalova dropped her head, attacked first, and Leigh was just sitting on that.
Yeah.
She was ready.
That was the same play.
Same exact situation mirrored.
So I think on both of those speed ups, they didn't really speed up at the body. They sped up as if they were trying to hit a winner. And
that's a bad idea in that situation.
It's a bad idea when the ball bounces because it's so low that you do have to hit up on the ball. And if you don't try to jam the person and they read it, now they get to take a full swing.
Makes sense to me. Where you're saying you should maybe attack the left hip or
yes,
the body.
so that at least all they can do is block it instead of taking a swing at it.
Makes sense.
Now, in the heat of the moment.
Right. You make decisions quick out here on the court. All right, 5-0-2. So, again, we saw this in game one. Kovalova, Jardim jump out to an early lead. Now they're up 5-0.
Right.
We're going to take a quick hydration break. Again, brought to you by Jigsaw Health. Jesse Irvin, Scott Golden will be back in a second. All right, guys, we're back to the action. Looks like Kovalova is going to be serving at 5-0-2.
I like this.
They switched it up.
They switched sides. I like that. I think that's a good call, especially if, for whatever reason, that something's not working, just to change,
It's like getting out of that rut.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's huge. And I think you're spot on with that assessment of them switching because what they were doing wasn't working. Now all of a sudden they find themselves.
And essentially a lot of the time it's just for the psyche of, I just need to do something different. You know, I just need to mix it up. And also a lot of the time the opponents get into a rhythm and they have a game plan for where you're standing. Yeah. So just giving them a different visual
that's
can help.
huge. And now they're finding themselves.
That's a good lead from Catherine.
2 points in a row now. So, guys listening out there, listening to Jessie, she's talking about strategy. It's different than execution. Strategy is a big part of this.
And the other thing, again, is Catherine and Annalie, they're partnering for the first time. So essentially they went in not really knowing what side is best.
They're feeling it out for game one. So game one was the feel-out process.
Exactly.
Now they're switching things up.
Yes, whereas when you play with your partner enough, you have collected enough data to know, okay, we're better right, left, right. So, you know, it was a good move for them to do the switch, for sure.
Well, and Simone and Lucy stay stacking most 95% of the time.
Yes.
All right, so two things to make note, guys. Jessie touched on both of these. The second part. The first part was they called the timeout. The second part was they talked strategy during the timeout, came back, mixed it up. All of a sudden, it's 4-5-2 now.
Right.
Big difference than 0-5.
And again, I think it's always good for the psyche.
Yes.
You know, just
like
whether
fresh,
you know,
it's new.
You know, I used to do the same thing in tennis. If something wasn't working, I would change my racket. I would, just do something different.
It's
just
like a mental
reset.
Yeah, it's a mental reset.
Yes.
For sure. Look at that gift from Catherine Parenteau. Oh my goodness. That's incredible athleticism by both sides. Lucy Kovalova, no argument from her on the around the post. It looks like it just missed out wide. 6-5-2 now. What a difference. They're on a 6-0 run. That ball landed. Lucy Kovalova let it go. It lands in, and then she looks at Simone like, sorry, I could have swore that thing was going to go out.
Well, and again, that goes to the environment. You know, usually when we play outside, there is a slight breeze, wind, so letting balls go.
This is a totally different adjustment being inside. So I just want to really drive this home. They were down 5-0 in game two, looking a little dismal. They call a timeout. They switch it up, and all of a sudden, this is a tear. They're on an 8-0 run. So, guys, pay attention to what we're talking about. Jessie does know what she's saying out there. All right, guys, we're going to go to another hydration break brought to you by Jigsaw Health, and we'll be back to see the end of game two in just a minute. All right, guys, Scott Golden joined in the booth by Jessie Irvin. She's coming up soon for the third round matchup at 1 o'clock. But until then, I've got her in the booth. We've got Diane Unitich as our referee, by the way. It is 8-5-2.
So what I've noticed is when they did the switch and Catherine went to the left side, she became a much more dynamic and aggressive player, which is natural for the person on the left, because usually that person on the left is supposed to be the more dominant.
I say like the pilot of the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once they made that switch, she became a little bit more lively, more dynamic, and I think that helped as a whole both players' confidence.
For sure, and I think the reason they started originally with Anna-Leigh on the left is because of that two-handed role that she has,
Yes.
but it wasn't really being utilized,
Yes.
and so they switched it up, and now it seems like the switch has made a huge difference in the points being played out.
Yes. And the thing is, once you get to this level, all the players are so good that they can play both sides. So
Yeah.
at that point, it's really just strategy. It's figuring out what's working, what's not working. Against different teams, you'll do different things.
Nice friendly roll there. It's a great lob from Catherine, pushing them off the line. Oh, goodness. Ultimately, Catherine Parenteau tried to reset it,
Yes.
stayed up a little too high, and that ultimately cost them that point. But what a phenomenal
That was a great point.
point played out in front of us. So 7-9-2.
So for the viewers, based on what it looks like from the camera angle, I don't know if anybody saw, Anna-Leigh did a signal behind her back, and she kind of moved her fingers, which from tennis, that's basically known as a fake, where she looks like she's going to switch with Catherine, but she actually just moves over a little bit and then moves back. And essentially, it's kind of like a bait move. You're trying to make it look like the down the line is open because you're switching, but you're not actually.
But it's actually not.
Yes.
Gotcha. Oh, good reset there from Anna-Leigh. All right, so we've seen another small change in momentum. Now Jardim and Kovalova have gotten a little bit of that momentum back in their favor.
I think on that timeout, they came up with a new plan for this
Setup.
Yeah,
because when it's happening in the moment
It's
and
hard.
they make the adjustment,
Yes.
you can't always
you can't
get-
communicate because there's not enough.
There's not enough time, so you need that 60 seconds to get on the same page, and it looks like that's worked out pretty well.
Yes.
But again, this is part of the mental chess match at this pro level, that it's not only physical, like you were saying, they're
Oh.
all good. Everybody at this level is good. It's about who makes those adjustments at the right time.
Yes. Once you get to the pro level, everybody is physically capable.
Very
It's no
gifted.
longer about the physical game. It is. We're all strong. You know, they're all fit. At that point, it is the mental side. And I would say I would almost say at this level, it is probably 70% and up mental. And it's not just the physical ability, it is how you're thinking on the court.
I love
You know,
it. Shot
how
selection.
you're focusing, shot selection, strategy.
Yeah, all those things play a big factor in the
How
outcome
you
of a game.
handle pressure situations, all of those things.
We'll talk about that in a second. I think that's a big thing to discuss.
Right.
The reason I want to touch back on that is because I even noticed, like for me, when it's 0-0, I'm relaxed, I'm
Right.
calm. Rec games, very relaxed,
Right.
play well. Sometimes you get in that 10-10 or you're down 11-10 and you feel the pressure
Yes.
of having to perform. Sometimes that makes you play tighter.
Yes. And honestly, that's really the difference between the number 1, the number 5, the number 10, number 15 player. It's just
Those little,
how they handle those moments.
very, very insightful.
Because everybody has great dinks. They have, great resets, great drops, great drives. It is how they handle at 10-10. What is their patience? What is their shot selection? How are their nerves?
Can you outlast time, like Dane Gingrich always says?
Right.
Nice job cracking that ball from Catherine Parenteau. Oh, my goodness. Oh, what a point.
That was a great point.
That's just great because she was running all over the place, reset, and then ultimately Jardim won that point, but that was excellent.
Catherine did a good job of showing what you should do when you're on defense. And a lot of the times, and I've noticed, especially, at that kind of 3-5, 4-0, 4-5 level, when players are on the run or they're on defense, they hit it hard. And they don't realize hitting it hard doesn't actually help.
It makes it worse.
It makes it worse. You're giving yourself less time, and the ball never gets down. So now your opponents are able to just keep attacking, essentially. So she did a very good job of showing how to get back to almost a neutral position, which is drops, resets, getting it soft so they can get it below the net so that the other team can't just outright
attack you over and over. All right, so look, we've gotten back to they're switching back with Leigh on the left, and it seems to be working. So this, again, is the chess match because they made the first adjustment. Then Jardim and Kovalova made an adjustment. Yes. Now they've switched back and made another adjustment here.
We're just playing chess out there.
That's all it is. It's just a big live chess match. I think that middle ball is going to be if we see a game 3, they're going to need to figure out that middle ball because they haven't played together and they keep switching back and forth. There's some hesitation I'm noticing in that middle. All right, they've got game point here. That's unbelievable finish right there in game 2. So I'm not totally surprised. They made some good adjustments, meaning Parenteau and Waters. Now we're going to see a game 3. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be back to the action. This is Jesse Irvin and Scott Golden in the booth bringing you the live action. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today at the 2021 Margaritaville Underground Invitational presented by Duper. Jesse, that's a mouthful to say, but it is exciting nonetheless. We're here at an indoor venue in Fort Myers. How excited are you to get on this court in front of this big crowd right here, sold-out crowd?
I am ready. I am so excited to be here. I'm glad I got the invite.
Well, I would be making some phone calls if you didn't, Jesse.
So I'm happy to be here. I think these kind of events are fun. You get to see new matchups, new teams partnering together, and it's all the great best players in the world. So I think it's just an environment that is just so fun to be a part of.
Yeah, it's electric, and when you have this type of intimate setting, it really does, I think, boost the morale for the players because you guys are playing with people literally on top of you right here. Yes. So, but I know if you guys are like I am, I love to compete when people are in front of the crowd watching.
Yes.
It makes things just a little more exciting.
Yes.
All right, looks like we're going to be kicking off a game 3. They've switched sides, and now they should switch again at 6. So an early lead for Parenteau and Waters. They waste no time calling a 60-second timeout. We're going to take a quick hydration break, and we'll be right back to the action.
Pickleball Cocktail, agora disponível no Brasil. Obrigada, iHerb.
Pickleball Cocktail ya está disponible aquí en México. Gracias a iHerb.
Le Pickleball Cocktail est maintenant disponible en France. Merci iHerb.
Pickleball Cocktail теперь можно пить в России. Спасибо, iHerb.
Pickleball Cocktail.
Teraz dostupný už je na Slovensku. Ďakujeme, iHerb.
Pickleball cocktail now available in over 150 countries. Thanks, iHerb.
Almost done? We gotta get that new fruit punch flavor ready to ship.
Sure thing, Carissa.
So, how has everyone been coping?
Almost finished.
Oh,
Good. We got a lot of orders
playing
to
a ton of
fill.
Scrabble.
Why are you guys wearing
Netflix.
ski masks? It's like 110 degrees out.
Bad hair day? I just sit and stare out the window.
All right, guys, we've got that timeout over. I think Simone had to take care of something real quick.
Yeah, I had to give her a little CBD roll-on stick that I have.
Oh, okay. I was
with
wondering.
Me. I'm
You must be
I'm the CBD person to go to.
You're the go-to for CBD.
Yes.
I love it.
I have so many different kinds of CBD products. Anything you need,
You've got it.
roll on. Yes, I got it. So she was feeling a little
tight.
a little soreness, tightness. So she just rolled it on.
I'm glad you were here to help.
Well, she's my partner.
That's
team.
true.
We're on the same team.
That's very true. All right, so Jardim Kovalova off to a little bit of a slow start in Game 3, but they're getting the ball back now. Let's see if they can pick things up here. That's a good attack by Lucy Kovalova.
Well, and also, again, because of the new partnership dynamic with Catherine and Anna Leigh, Lucy hit that ball to the middle, and there was a slight hesitation on who should take it. And because of the slight hesitation, they missed an opportunity to still be aggressive in the point. And Lucy and Simone picked up on that and pressed a little bit more on that other point.
So it's 1-4-2. They just seem in Game 3 a little bit flat coming out. I think for any player, it's about that mental focus.
Right.
And if you are not focused, the mental errors start to happen, and then it plays out physically.
Yes, I tell people all the time that a lot of the errors that are made at this high level are mental errors. It's not skill.
Absolutely.
It's a mental either focus, decision making, but it is just the mental game that really plays a huge part.
And just dialing in your focus is where it starts.
Yes.
They'll get it going. They're not too far. Yeah, that ball was out. That was actually a good call. It may look in from their vantage point, but where we're
right on the line.
We're right on it.
Yes.
And it definitely landed out. So 5-1-2.
That was a good serve from Anna Leigh.
Strong serve there. How important, even though Jardim and Kovalova won that point there, how important is that deep, aggressive serve to create a weaker return?
Yes, because then ideally what happens from there is now Anna Leigh is looking to be aggressive on that next ball and hoping that Simone has not yet got to the kitchen. Because once Simone gets to the kitchen, she is far more threatening. So that deep serve, kind of
really
pushes
handicaps
her back. Yes.
Makes perfect sense to me.
But in that point, Simone did a good job of hitting a deep return in response to that and neutralizing the offensive serve.
5 years ago when I started, the thing to say was just get the ball in on your serve. And that is so inaccurate in my opinion, because now everybody's
a lot
pushing
more players
the envelope.
A lot more players are now starting to try to get an advantage right off the serve, which is it's really the only shot you have complete control over because you're holding the ball in your hand.
Yeah.
You get to start the point how you want to start it. So, and I think it is a great idea, for all these players that have the ability and are confident with it to go after their serve.
To push the envelope.
And now what I tell a lot of my students is don't do it to the point where you're missing too many serves.
Well, that I didn't touch on. That part, you have to be consistent with it.
Yes, that's always my rule of thumb. You can go for your serve and you can go for your returns, but you got to make it.
It needs to be a high percentage
yes,
of.
if you're not making it, then you need to make an adjustment.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's a great attack. Again, I just think at the pro level, the ability to attack below the net and catch that opponent off guard is huge at this level.
Yes. And it's also about where you're hitting your attack.
So not just attack, but attacking with precision.
Yes. Simone did a good job of kind of jamming Catherine, you know, in a good spot so that she couldn't just take a full swing.
Now, there, A.Waters got the attack cross-court from Simone, and then she chose to go take her forehand back to the middle where Kovalova's backhand was. I don't know that that's the smartest shot to try to do there.
It might not be. It's really hard, and especially the hands battle, to just change angles.
Okay, I see. So in that moment, it may not be that easy.
It might not be that easy because to change angles, you also have to change where you're making contact with the ball. So if you want to change the angle from cross-court to down the line, you actually have to hit the ball later. And the problem is, again, in a hands battle, you might not have time to just catch it and change the angle of your paddle. So it is harder. If the ball is slower, you have more time to then kind of change the angle and then change direction. But when the ball is coming that hard,
it's just hard to do.
You're just going with the angles, which there's a lot of angles. There's a lot of angles in pickleball that kind of just always work out that same way. I would say the biggest one is if the right side players are cross-court dinking and one of the right side players tries to attack, and you'll see this a lot in women's, they try to attack cross-court, girls now with two-hand backhand.
They're sitting on it.
And they almost always go down the line because of the angle. It's very hard to actually go back cross-court with that.
Which is why you see that pattern develop
Yes.
over and over. And I do notice that when I do commentary that there are certain patterns that develop, especially like with the women's.
Right.
When you watch that, it goes boom, boom.
So I think it was probably hard for her to actually change the angle at that point.
Oh, good defense there by Catherine Parenteau.
That was a good point.
Very good point. The crowd goes crazy on that one.
And now they are switching sides.
So that's a switch at 6. Often what we see is outdoors, you might have one side that has sun in your eyes, the wind blowing. We saw this recently at some of the California tournaments. The wind was blowing straight line one way. So teams were
once they won the toss.
They were bidding to get on that
Yes.
last good side at the end.
And a lot of the time, that's the thing about pickleball. Like, those kind of conditions can dictate who wins or loses matches.
It's
it
like
has
a strategy.
nothing to do with the play at that
Yes.
point sometimes.
Well, you saw it played out over and over
Yes.
and over in the recent tournament. It was evident
Yes.
when they would do the interviews with the pro players at the end. It was like, well, we ended up on the good side. All right, looks like we're going to get a switch. So it looks like A.Waters is going to be serving here to Kovalova.
So they're now up 7-3-1. They have a good run going.
They do, but you can't ever count out Kovalova and Jardim.
No.
They've been in this spot before,
Yes.
and somehow, some way, they typically will find a way
Yes.
to unlock that piece to the puzzle and find success.
That was a good reach by Simone.
And 3-7 sounds like a lot, but at this level, like, you can close that gap quick if you hit a little run.
A good run. It could be 7-all.
Oh, she got what she wanted. Again, Simone, like you're talking about, is attacking down the line, and Waters was on it. She just missed.
Yeah, she just had to get under that ball just a little bit. So it looks like Simone does what Simone does best, which is become more aggressive.
Starts to take the game over, take control. You do often see that with her.
Yes.
She'll lay low for a little bit, and then she'll start to.
Which is smart because it is very tiring to play
that way all the time.
80% of the court and be super aggressive, and you don't want to start from 0-0.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose energy when it really matters.
When it really counts.
So
now, I would say the argument in this situation is this.
Why not do it from the beginning?
Well, because this is indoor. You're not playing all day. It's going to be a timed. Or basically, she can give all. That would be the only argument I would make.
Yeah, it still is hard on the body, though.
Oh, I see. I see.
It's not. It's
for
not
3
just,
straight games like that.
Yes, it is. So it's kind of like the runners where they don't run fast from the very beginning.
Okay, that makes sense. They're pacing themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. She wants to make sure she's at peak
when she
performance when she needs to be.
Right.
Man, that defense is insane, though. Just the fact that she got that third one back. Now, ultimately, it popped up and Waters put the ball away, but most people don't even get that third one back.
Annalie did a good job of staying focused because many times I've seen players hit a ball that they think that the point's over, and then they just miss the easy one because they kind of relax.
Because it comes back.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my gosh, she got it. Oh, it just missed. I mean, the exchanges that we're seeing right now, Jesse, are incredible for this crowd.
That was a good placement. Attacking the ball right down the middle. I think in general, dinks to the middle,
That's a good
attacking to
idea.
the middle, returning to the middle. It's always good, especially with a team that hasn't partnered together, but even in general, because you still have to communicate whose ball it is.
Yeah.
Because both players can go
Or
for it.
in that middle.
Yeah, so I think, and then it takes away the angles. So I think it's always a good spot to go to. I always tell, players, if they don't know where to hit it,
go middle.
Go middle.
Yeah, it's more margin for error as well.
Right.
It's a good cross-court dink battle we got going. That's what, again, you touched on this in game one, but the team that can get that advantage hitting down, because both teams are hitting hard, it's a matter of what the angle is that you're getting to hit with.
Yes, because as soon as one player can get the ball down.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick Jigsaw Health hydration break, and we'll be back to the action soon. Jesse Irvin, Scott Golden, bringing it live. All right, we're back to the action. Looks like 7-8 after that little run, 2-0 run from Jardim and Kovalova.
Yes.
That ball is out. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good idea in theory. That's just a tough shot.
Yes. That was a nice roll from Simone. She had done it earlier and had missed it, I would say probably about a couple inches long. So she made the adjustment there and took a little bit off.
So this is interesting. Duper has put together some win probability percentages for this match.
Okay.
And going in, their percentages were 73% in favor of Kovalova and Jardim, only a 27% favorite opportunity for Waters and Parenteau. So this is interesting that we're in a game 3 here and it's tight.
Now, do you know how they came up with these?
I do, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But I wanted to mention that because this is interesting to me because they were technically leading at the switch at 6, Parenteau and Waters. So this will be interesting
they
to see how.
They were up 7-3.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
That's a great
that was a great
finish.
Point.
Yeah. Kovalova with that reach, she really gets out there and takes advantage of that length.
Yeah, she's tall and she definitely uses her length to her advantage when she reaches out.
It's a nice attack. I love when Catherine Parenteau leans out like that, gets low and rolls that forehand back across her body. It's a very effective shot.
It is, because once you reach out, you don't actually know what the player is going to do, and you can disguise and hit, different variety of shots. And mixing it in, it can always keep your opponents on their heels.
So that one I noticed. So Catherine has this ability, you've played her a bunch. She jumps and kind of blocks like up against her body. In that case, though, they were able to hit it a little higher, popped up, and then, of course, Kovalova's putting that into next week.
Yes, Catherine does a very good job of absorbing pace with her blocks.
That's a rare missed third shot from Jardim, especially at the end of a game 3. She was all over it there. All right, we've got a side out. I feel like this is where the mental fortitude comes in, what you were talking about at 9-9 in the third. Simone and Kovalova stayed patient and steady. She chose to speed it up too soon, I thought.
Yes. Though, essentially, that's the best part of Annalie's game is her speed up.
Very true.
So
she's not going to shy away from that.
Right, exactly. She's going to keep going.
And the best players in the world in any sport are going to be themselves no matter what. They're going to be true to that.
Right.
Which is also why I was going to ask you, I know your style is to be consistent, steady, cross-court. Are you going to look to be more aggressive indoor like this, or are you going to keep to your steady game?
We'll just have to wait and see.
I love it.
I would say that was a little impatient on Catherine's part.
Sure. And if she hits a winner, she looks brilliant right there. But it's the ability to stay patient for the right ball.
Yes.
All right, they're going to put Catherine on the left. That's a good reset, getting them back up to the non-volley zone.
Oh,
and then the attack,
shot. So I would say that was actually a very good shot from Lucy because she hadn't done it almost the whole match.
Especially on that backhand.
On the backhand.
She was low and on the backhand. You're 100% right. Usually she comes back cross-court dinking with that.
So it was a very good shot because she hadn't done it yet. Now, what I will also say is because all these players are so good, she can't do it again very soon.
Right.
Because now Catherine
they'll be on to it.
Yes, they'll be on to it.
So it looks like Duper stands tall with their 73% win percentage with Jardim and Kovalova.
Yes.
Now, that was a nail-biter. I don't think
great match.
that it was – these percentages aren't supposed to be blowouts. Okay. That's not what it means. It just means that they take the last 32 tournaments of each of the pro players and they calculate those percentages based on their results of the last 32 tournaments.
I see.
It stretches back into 2020.
They're trying to get a little Moneyball action in there.
They are getting a little Moneyball action in there.
Statistics. Of the players.
And I love it because it's not saying that they're going to specifically win this one set 73% of the time.
Right.
It's that, hey, based on the results over the last 32 tournaments,
players together,
we feel like this is the winning percentage that should be there. It played out true,
yes,
but it was almost an upset there.
It was a great match. I mean, you saw everything in that match. You saw resets. You saw hands battles. It's like those 4 women were very exciting to watch.
They were bringing it. I'm looking forward to seeing you play not this round, but the round after.
Yes.
I'm going to let you go get warmed up, get your head back in the game. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a real pleasure.
Me. This was a lot of fun.
All right, guys, that was Jesse Irvin joining me in the booth. Up next is going to be Rob Nunnery, and I look forward to having him as well. Jesse, thank you again. She is unbelievable. Off the court, on the court, she's a special talent. And let's take a look at the next round of games. Round 2 is going to be Matt Wright and Deckel Barr with Team A squaring off against Ben and Colin John. So that's our next round coming up. Before then, we're going to take a commercial break. This is Scott Golden bringing you the live action at the Margaritaville Underground Invitational presented by Duper.